Hey everyone, George here and welcome back to the channel. First of all, I want to give you an update on this juvenile discus tank. Everything is going fantastic. One problem, and that's the thing that we're going to talk about today. When we come back, we're going to talk about Popeye, cloud eye, whatever you want to call it, in discus specifically. And the reason why I want to focus on discus fish is because this is a very common problem with this particular type of fish. And because they're so expensive, we don't want to lose them. When we come back, we're going to talk about what the causes are and what the cures are and what the preventative measures that you can take. We'll see you when you come back. So as I said in the intro, today we're going to be talking about cloud eye or Popeye that happens a lot with younger discus fish. It's a very common ailment, and there's several reasons for it. We're going to first get into what the reasons are, why this happens. The second thing that we're going to get into is prevention, and then we're going to get into the cures that I feel are best to treat this. Before we get started on all that, take a minute to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're reaching some great goals here on subscriptions, and I really appreciate all of you who have been dedicated watchers for a long time. I apologize I haven't put out a video recently. My mom passed away and I had to get out of town for a few weeks, almost 3 weeks actually, and I'm back and I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. But let's get into this cloud eye thing. Number one, as you can see from this video here, the short video that I've put together here, this is a red cover discus that you're looking at, and this is something that happened a couple of days after I got this fish. Now there had already been 3 small, about 2.5 to 3 inch discus fish in this tank already, and this is where sometimes the problem lies. Number one, there can be a lot of roughhousing that goes on between new discus fish because of the pecking order, and this can create an environment, especially with a tank like this where you have a lot of pointed sharp sticks here and there, and they can easily get spooked or get into a fight with another fish and really scratch the outer cornea of the eye. So that's something that we have to pay attention to. If you see this, it's something that you should get on top of right away. Now that's not always what happens. There's several different reasons. The next most common reason for cloudy eye or Popeye is water quality. Now if you've got poor water quality in your tank and you're adding new fish to it and you're adding a load to that tank, this can be one of the symptoms that pop up in some of your fish immediately. Cloud eye is just a symptom of a bacterial infection that gets into the eye area, and it's something again that can be caused easily by just having poor quality water. My recommendations will come later in the video as to what to do for prevention and also for treatment for these things as well. Now the third thing that can happen is an internal infection, and that's something that has nothing to do with the quality of your water. It may be inherent to something that the fish just happens to have, and it just pops up out of nowhere. Now, these are really weird situations because you can literally go to bed one night and wake up the next day, go down to your fish room or your gallery and take a look at your fish, and you can find a fish that would look perfectly normal the day before, and you can have a cloud eye situation or a Popeye situation, and there's just no rhyme or reason to it. In those particular situations, typically what's going on is your discus has an internal infection in that eye. Things that you have to be careful with infections is that they can get really out of control really fast, and they don't typically kill your fish. I don't see, in fact, I've never lost a fish to Popeye or cloud eye. What I have had happen to me is a discus fish or other types of larger species lose an eye, and of course that's never good. Obviously, it's disfiguring to the fish, but it's also not something that's very pleasant for the fish either, obviously. So that's something that you want to make sure that you get on these things right away, and you make sure that you're doing everything you can to prevent this from getting worse. What you'll see typically is a cloudy looking eye. If you're paying close attention like I do, I check out my fish every morning and I just look at them, just glance at them. I know what everybody looks like. I kind of know what's going on in the tanks. I always know the water quality. I always know all of those things. So when I see something like this pop up, in this particular situation, I believe that this fish got damaged by adding 2 new fish to the tank, and there was a little bit of fighting that went on, and I think that he got nailed by one of these little sticks that come off this piece of wood in the center part of the tank here. So what I am doing is trying to explain to you the different ways in which Popeye can manifest itself. Excuse me. And one of the things that I want to tell you is the most dangerous of the 3, obviously, is this internal infection that can take place. And if you do have an internal infection in your fish, you need to get it out of that tank into a quarantine tank, hospital tank, whatever you want to call it, and treat that fish accordingly. Now there's Meloplex, there's several different types of antibacterial antibiotics that you can use to treat these fish. There's several that come out by Seachem. Canaplex is one, Sulfurplex is another. API has several. I don't know the names of those, and I also don't have a relationship with API, so I'm not going to even get into that situation. But there's many different places that you can go online and look for treatments for this specific ailment in your fish. So let's talk about prevention here. Number one, if you have a situation like I have here, and I'm not going to change this because this is a rare occurrence in this particular tank. This tank's been set up this way for a long time, and I've never had an injury happen like this. Now, why do I know that this was happened that way? Because, like I said, nothing was going on the night before. I added 2 new fish, and I saw this particular red cover discus sort of scrambling around and getting into a little bit of a fight, basically, with another discus that I had just added to the tank. Very territorial, and I think that he got clipped by one of these branches that were going across here by running across the tank a little bit too fast. So I'm treating that based on that assumption at this point, and I'll monitor it. If the treatment that I'm doing right now doesn't work, then we'll move on to the next thing here. Now, the things that I talked about, let's go over them again. Number one, first thing that can cause Popeye or cloudy eye is a injury of the outer part of the eye. We don't have fish that have eyelids. Fish don't have eyes. There's no way to protect their eyes in situations like that. The second thing can be water quality. So make sure that your water quality is always in good shape. And if it's not, address that very quickly by doing more water changes, maybe taking the load off the biosystem in that particular tank. There's lots of things that you can do, but I would suggest that you look at the quality of your water and see if you can change that rapidly. If you can do that and get things under control, that cloud eye situation will go away on its own. You don't have to even do anything. And then the third thing, of course, as I said, is an internal infection that's created in the fish. We don't know why, it just happens, and that's a whole another story and something that we need to address. Now let's talk about how to treat this particular situation or ailment in your fish, and there are a couple of ways to do that. Number one, if your fish has just received an injury because of something like I talked about, running into something into the tank or getting into a fight, any number of different things, the first thing I like to do is for about 5 days really keep my water extra clean. Maybe do a couple extra water changes here and there, and add a little bit of salt to the water and nothing more. No medications whatsoever. There isn't really anything necessary to add to the tank at this point because this will heal on its own. The second one, as I suggested to you, would be water quality. If you have a water quality situation, you've got to address that because that's a long-term issue. A lot of times your biosystem just goes out of whack, either by adding a load to the tank, in other words, adding more fish to the tank, etc. And the best way to address that is do more water changes, number one, and reduce the bio load in that tank. In other words, move some fish around. If you don't have other tanks to move fish around, you might have to rehome them or that kind of thing. But these are choices that you have to make. So whenever you're buying fish and you're not really thinking about maybe perhaps how big they're going to get in the long term, you might think about before you buy them whether or not they're suitable for your tank, because that bio load's going to go up. Whenever you add any kind of fish to your tank, the bio load goes up. So we want to make sure that the water quality in your tank is good. If it's not, address it. I would do 2 water changes a day, 50% for maybe 5 days, and then just gradually work your way back a little bit and keep testing your water to make sure that your ammonia, your nitrites, and your nitrates are all in line. And once you've done that and things have gone back to normal, monitor the tank a little bit more frequently. As I said, do the things that I suggested to you, do those water changes, and also reduce the bio load on the tank so that you don't have a situation where water quality is going to go out of whack. And the third thing is medications. Now medications, as I said, I don't like to use medications, but if you have a situation where your fish has an internal problem that has been created by, for whatever reason, we don't know what reason, there's lots of different things on the market, and I will put some suggestions in the description area down below as to what you can use. I will put some links to a couple of different places where I think the best places to get medication for these are. And again, this is not something that is life-threatening typically to discus fish or other expensive ornamental fish that are important to you. I have not ever seen a discus in my situation or in my environment where it has died because of this particular ailment. And the reason for that is I've got on it very quickly and I've figured out the best treatments. Start out with those 5 days of water changes, 50%. Add a little salt to the water, see if that makes it go away. The next thing to do, of course, is to check your water quality. In fact, do those in tandem with each other. Check the water quality. If your water quality is off, you've got a situation where you're breeding an environment where bacteria is going to hit a spot on a fish very quickly. This can be two things happening at the same time. You can have a fish that can get an injury, have bad water quality, and at the same time create an environment for that bacteria in the water to set into where that wound is and create an environment where the eye gets cloudy and whatever. Now, in this particular fish that I have in this tank that I showed you in the video earlier, does not have a real large Popeye kind of situation. That's why I'm thinking that this is not an internal situation. This is external and like I said, a wound of some kind. Now, do these things that I talked about and do them in line with each other. If you get to the point where you've done the water changes, added a little bit of salt to the water, make sure you're not adding salt that's iodized and stuff like that. Be careful to make sure you're using aquarium salt. That's the most important thing I want to tell you here, because I've seen people do crazy things and add salt to the water and kill all their fish and they can't figure out what they did wrong. So make sure you're using aquarium grade freshwater salt. So that is the medication type salt that you would use in this situation. And the third thing that I would tell you again is, if you've done those two things and you're still having a problem and the eye is getting worse, it's time to do something that medicates that fish internally so that you can get that fish cured and get things back on track. A lot of times, like I said, within a day or two of doing the first two things that I talked about, things will just go back to normal, and the fish will, especially if you see a fish that's not acting anything different than what they normally do. Their behavior is the same, they're still eating, they're interacting with the other fish, they're not hiding or any of those things. It's typically, like I said, a water quality issue or an injury issue. If you've got the third thing going on, and you're going to have to address that with those medications. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it. Sorry I haven't put out a video in a while here. I'll try to get back into the swing of things here as quick as I can. And I appreciate you taking a minute to address this very important medical issue with fish that's extremely common. And like I said, it rarely, if ever, kills a fish. If it does, it's because somebody has completely overlooked it and they haven't done anything to address the problem, and that of course is a totally different situation. But if you're keeping discus fish, or you're keeping angel fish, or you're keeping different kinds of expensive ornamental fish, you're paying attention, I can assure you, to what's going on with your fish, and you're addressing those issues. So thank you again for joining me today. I appreciate it. We will see you on the next one. Until then, I'm out of here.